Hi, YouTube. Welcome to Pagan Perspective. This is Megan, aka Sabirsuri, and today is Friday. So I thought I would do a quick live. I said that I would. It's 2:27 p.m. here in Maui. So I think last week I said it would be between 2 and 3. So this is pretty much as close to between those two as I possibly can get. Um, so here I am. I know I mentioned potentially going to the beach. However, it is hello. Ah, saying hello to Lisa. My wife just logged on from work. Um, so, yeah, I know I said I was going to try and do this at the beach, but it's hot. It's really, really hot. Hello. Hi, everyone. So it's crazy, crazy hot, and I was doing a lot of errands and things today. So I am just, I would, I'd melt. So, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to say. Um, Gotcha. Oh, you like my hair? Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did a fresh dye, so it's fresh and bright. Thank you. Yeah, if you've been on this channel for a while, you probably have seen me go full circle because I started on this channel red, and then I think I went like a dirty blonde, and then I went like Khaleesi, bright white blonde, and then I went brown. I think no, I went blue. Went blue, then I went brown. Now I'm back to red. So full circle. So today we are talking about magical protection. So I figured this would be a great one to do a live with because I know a lot of people have questions about that. And so I thought, why not do it this way? It seemed to be pretty popular last time. And it works out time-wise for me as well. So basically what the question asker was talking about was kind of what do you do for magical protection, but also this idea that in the community right now that there's a fear almost with putting up protection, and that act in and of itself would cause repercussions in terms of the threefold law. So that whole topic is what we're going to try and cover. So I think we'll start with just the second part because I think that that's really what needed mostly to get addressed was this fear that I think is out there about the threefold law and about, just by setting up a protection that's going to somehow bring something back on you. So now, um, uh, Emperor says doesn't believe in threefold law. So there you go. And that's the thing is that not everybody does. Also, for me, I think about it this way. Now, a seatbelt in a car. Yes, there's going to be somebody out there who tells you that if they had been wearing their seatbelt during some car accident, then it would have hurt them. However, 99%, 99% of people, by wearing their seatbelt, are protected when they're in an accident, right? They're protected in their car by a car seatbelt. And that's sort of what magical protection is like. Yes, there might be one person in a million type thing that for some reason their protection goes wrong and there's some sort of backlash. But 99% of the time, that protection is going to work to protect you for what it's supposed to do. Emperor was just writing, why do Wiccans believe in the threefold law? Well, it's part of the faith. So whatever you send out comes back to you times 3. So the idea though is basically, and I talk about this in one of my videos, I think it's called Universal Magic or something like that. And the idea is anything we put out into the world, we get back. A lot of different faiths have different words for what they like to call that. Karma is one of them, right? Kind of you reap what you sow is another one. So in my personal faith, everything is about balance, everything. And so the balance needs to be there. So if you're going to take an action in which you are affecting change in the world around you and in of yourself, the whole universe is going to shift to balance that out. Now, if it's small and if you're doing something to balance something out already because of something else that shifted, then there won't need to be a lot of shift, right? You almost are helping the universe out and putting it back into balance, which is one of the ways that the universe does it, right? Is by utilizing us as well. And so the idea is more about kind of that you put something out there, you cause a ripple, well, then the ripple has to come back, right? It's all about that balance. Now, putting up a protection, right, it's a safety measure. And I understand why I think some people get afraid of it. Mainly, I think it's because they're not yet comfortable with ritual and spell casting and in general their faith. I think that one thing that has not been promoted as much has been kind of shadow work and dealing with some of the, I don't want to say darker, but just some of the tough stuff, right? That we like to keep everything as pure energy and healing thoughts and everything is happy, but life isn't like that. Life is a balance. Life is the yin and the yang, right? We have positives and negatives in our life, and I'm sure we go through every single day, and we can probably name, at least 5 negative things that happen to us, and hopefully we can name 5 positive things that happen to us. And that's just, in one day, let alone our life. Oh, yay. Hello. So when you think about it, we are all this mix, this conglomeration of light, dark, positive, negative, all of it, right? There is no pure positive, pure good, pure evil. It doesn't exist like that. We all are a balance of both, and we need both, right? In essence, you wouldn't be able to have an amazing day if you didn't also have some not so good days, because you really wouldn't be able to understand that amazing day without the contrast of having a not amazing day, right? And so that's where protection comes in, is that we need to protect ourselves from some of the negative things that are out there and some of the things that could come our way, and also just stray energy. So one thing that I like to say is think about the rain, okay? When you go outside and it's raining, you are not just getting rain that's coming straight down. More often than not, you're going to have rain that comes sometimes from the side. You might have splatterback up on your feet from rain that hits the floor. Oh, thank you. There's a lot of comments about my hair. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. You might have rain that comes up and hits your feet because it hit the ground and then splashes back up, right? So you can have rain in all directions. Now, the rain doesn't have anything out to get you. The rain isn't mad at you. The rain isn't actively trying to hurt you. However, when we go out and it's raining, sometimes we're okay with just going out. More often than not, though, we either wear a raincoat or we bring an umbrella, right, to shield ourselves. Well, think of protection like an umbrella. You can bring it with you in case you think it might rain so that you have it. And if it doesn't rain, you never need to use it. And if it does rain, then you have something to shield you. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to get a little bit wet in the process. It just means that you're protected from the majority of the rain, right? There still could be some that could come from the bottom or the side, or who knows, could even blow your umbrella inside out. So that's why we have protections on protections sometimes, to have really sturdy umbrellas. Does that make sense? Is this coming clear to people? I hope so. Let's see. Emperor wrote, I hear witches say they do shadow work. What it means is their shadow work book about it. So shadow work is sort of dealing with the not so, I don't want to say nice, but the not so positive and light stuff about yourself and about the world. So, if I were to describe it, I could describe it in therapeutic terms. So like if I'm working with a client and we have to deal with a trauma in their past, right? That would be considered shadow work. Because we'd be dealing with something that makes them feel kind of uncomfortable and um, and maybe even causes them pain. However, by working through it, we can actually heal. Sometimes we have to clean the wound before the wound can heal, and that cleaning the wound can sometimes hurt a lot. However, without doing that, the wound will get worse. It will fester, it will get infected. And so by cleaning it, even though there's pain in that moment, it actually allows the healing process to take place. That makes sense. And Cobalt says, yes, it makes sense to you. Excellent, excellent. So that's the way that I think about protection, right? It's our umbrella in the rain. Now, protections also can be there if you are worried about a targeted source. So we have our general protections, which are like our raincoats and our umbrellas. And then we have targeted protection. And I'm going to use two different examples. One is a little bit funny and one is probably a little more serious. Oh, great. A new perspective on shadow work. Excellent. So here are my two examples. I held up a three. Two examples of kind of targeted protection. And so I'm gonna do the funny one. Or I guess more humorous one first. So my example is a condom. Okay. So a targeted protection is like a condom. You wear it because you're going into a particular activity where you want protection, right? So you don't wear it all the time. You don't wear it every single day, all day long. You only put it on when you're going to be engaging in something that you want some protection, right? So trying to be as nice about this particular activity. Yes, exactly. So the idea though is that you put up that protection, right? You put on that protection when you're going to engage. And so the same thing with magical protections. There are some that you will put up in particular at the beginning of a ritual. Okay. So if you're going to engage in a particular activity, like an important spell, right? That is maybe a little difficult, or maybe you're going to be calling on some energies that are pretty powerful. Then you want to put up very specific protections, very targeted protections in order to deal with that specific instance. And then those protections will come down. They're not things that you leave up all the time, or in case of the condom, leave on all the time. So they're targeted to exactly what you're doing. Does that make sense? I hope so. So my second example is a bulletproof vest. Okay. Now this one, not quite as funny, but I think very powerful. And so if you know that there is something going on, and actually, Caleb, you just mentioned it in the comments, and you're going right along lines with what I'm talking about here. And you said that a couple of people have got to look out for the evil eye. Now, if in particular there is somebody who is targeting you, and they're targeting you, or even a group of people, that would be when you would put up certain protections that are similar to a bulletproof vest. Now, bulletproof vest you can wear all the time, right? Now, obviously, you don't want to go around the rest of your life wearing one. However, say you're worried about this for a specific time, the duration of, a moon cycle or something. You could put up that protection, like putting on that bulletproof vest for that set amount of time to protect you in case things are coming in. And that's really only if you feel like someone is particularly targeting you, right? If there's something particularly out there. And there's a few ways to go about figuring this out. I would really recommend looking up some of Raven Grimassi's books. He gives some wonderful old world ways of figuring out whether or not you're being the target of something metaphysical or supernatural in that way. That would be my best recommendation. His book Italian Witchcraft is really helpful with that. I obviously can't give my personal family's ways, but I can direct you in that way. And Raven is an amazing, amazing author, and I highly recommend his books. And a personal friend of mine. Um, and Burke's Emperor Books for Protection, definitely Italian witchcraft. There's a lot in there, which is wonderful. And he always includes protection because it's a big part of his belief system. So any of his books will include a lot of protection elements and also how to find out if you are a target of something. So that would definitely be something good. So those are sort of the ways in which you can use protection magic. And when you do these things, so let's go through the step. If you're putting on a raincoat or grabbing an umbrella, so that's a small magical protection. Like for example, this. This is a chimaruta. Okay, I hope you can see it. This is a magical protection. This is like an umbrella. This is like a raincoat. Okay, it is something I wear all the time. I have with me all the time. In fact, I never take it off. If my wife is still in here, she'll attest. I never take it off. It's always on. And so this is one of those things that you can have on that's a magical protection that's always there, right? It's not targeted though. It's not going to protect me from a targeted attack or anything like that. This is my general protection kind of from the rain, from that stray energy that's just sort of floating around in the universe. When somebody has, I'm sure we've all met people that are particularly energetic, right? I don't just mean bubbly. I mean energy level, right? And they don't know how to control it. And so then they have a really bad day or something happens or even have a really good moment and they're spewing energy left and right and it is just pinging off everything. And you're like, whoa, it's just so overwhelming. And especially if it's a bad day, it's negative and you feel that and you take that and you're like, whoa, that was a lot of negative energy, right? And so that's what these sort of things are good for. They make sure that block those stray energy, right? Those stray water droplets of rain, right? From hitting you. Not directed or targeted, just the stuff that happens to be floating around. So this would be an example of, Lisa says it's true. Yes, it's true. I wear it all the time. And thank you, Caleb. Caleb said it's beautiful. So I don't think you'll be able to see up close. Maybe. Of course, you're getting up close and personal with me too. So as you can see, it has different charms on it, and it is double-sided. Let's see if we can get, there we go. It is double-sided, and each charm represents different things. Definitely look it up, Chimaruta. So for me, this is something that is very important to me. There's a whole host of reasons. But one of the things that I do love about wearing something like this is that most people don't recognize it unless they're in the craft. They don't recognize it as an occult symbol. And so therefore, especially on things like work, being a therapist, wearing something like this isn't going to get a lot of reaction, whereas wearing a pentacle will. And so especially when I need to remain more neutral. So this can be a really, workplace friendly type thing. But a pentacle is another form of a raincoat or umbrella protection. The same thing with carrying crystals or different stones with you. If you carry a tiger's eye with you, right? Things like that. Those are all forms of the raincoat or the umbrella protection, right? So they're going to protect you from sort of that stray energy that's just floating around, keep you a little bit more stable, a little drier, right? But they're not going to protect from a targeted attack. So if we're going to talk about targeted attacks, and so let's start with kind of our one that we're just going to use for a short period of time, like the condom. Not like 1 or 2 minutes, but the idea is a shorter period of time, usually in a ritual. And so the condom protection, right? So that is going to be a particular spell or particular chant or some sort of sigil that you're going to be using, whether that's painting it on your body, whether that's using it on a piece of parchment, burning it for spell work beforehand, etching it into a candle and having that burn while you're in ritual. Those sort of things are sort of your condom type, in the moment protection. In particular for things like a ritual. It's also really good if you're going into the astral plane to have a targeted protection. really important actually. If you're going to be doing any work on any other plane, elemental plane, and anywhere, you really want to have a targeted protection in place. These things are not going to cause the threefold law. They're not going to cause backlash. There's a balance to them. And as long as you use them in balance, they will stay balanced. So the only one that really has the potential, can you use protection for 24/7? That's the thing. You don't really need protection 24/7. That'd be like wearing a condom 24/7. You really don't need to do that. So as long as you have your base raincoat type, umbrella type protection, that's really all you need on a daily basis, unless you think that you are a target of some particular thing. And that's when the bulletproof vest protection. So these are my three types of protections, right? Now, the bulletproof vest type you can wear all the time. However, it will get tedious. It draws a lot of energy. So it's not something I would recommend doing all the time because you are going to be tired all the time. It's going to be a huge tap on your energy. And it really should only be something that you use if you're really worried that something is happening, right? And so I know some people who, they fell out with some people. It was in the pagan community in New England. They fell out with some people, and these people threatened them that they were going to cast some negative magic on them during Samhain. And so that person put up a bulletproof vest protection, right, for Samhain, just to make sure, right? And it's smart. So that type of protection is a little bit deeper, and it requires a higher level of magic and a higher level of spell casting. I mean, we're talking kind of Grimoire Verum type level. So, when you get to that level, that would be something that I'd highly recommend you seeking out a mentor for. Dealing with high magic, you need to be trained in it. And if you're not trained in it, that's when you can get the backlash. So I think that's probably where people got this whole idea about there being some sort of repercussion for doing protection magic. Because when you do kind of the bulletproof vest magic, when you're putting up that strong of a protection, like a big brick wall between you and whatever else might be out there, that's going to take a lot of energy, which then needs to be balanced. So there will be kind of a price to be paid for that, right? Now, putting up a protection isn't inherently negative. So you're not moving the waters in a negative way. You're just moving them in a way that's causing them to move from something else, which means they'll need to recede or something will have to come into their place. So there will need to be a balance. But high magic like that can come at a cost. So wearing something like this, or even, using a sigil or something like that during a ritual will not cause any sort of backlash. That's fine. Those are common protections that are really smart and really good for you. Whereas the bulletproof vest type one, high magic, that's going to get a little bit more serious. And yeah, that's when you could maybe start to see some. So maybe that's where the fear was coming from. But don't worry about that. If you can't think of how to do it, then you can't accidentally fall into high magic. It doesn't work that way. So don't worry too much about that. You're not going to accidentally perform some feat of high magic. And if you understand how to perform high magic, then you know the repercussions and you should be pretty well versed in it. Let me just read some comments here. I see the ritual do protect my space from other people's influences. Books, spells, my mentor. Okay, so Caleb, ritual protect your space. That is in essence like a raincoat type protection, right? So you're basically protecting your space from, all of the different stray energy that's out there, right? You're giving sort of a blanket protection. In a way, you're kind of putting an umbrella over it, right? You're putting a little shield up. Not the most intense shield in the world because, that's a lot of energy to hold up. I think we've all seen, Star Wars or Star Trek and things or Stargate, right? It takes a lot of energy to keep a shield up, right? And so what we want to be able to do is we want to put up general protections that kind of are self-sustaining, whether that's using the energies from crystals, the energies from the symbol itself, those sort of things, so that we're not putting a ton of our energy into it on a daily or minute-to-minute basis, if that makes sense. So one of the things that I like is I like basic spell protections. Um, so you can, you can write your own. There's also some you can find in different books. Um, so I can share with you. Um, Probably can't share that with you actually. Live, this is when it's hard. So one way to do a protection is to draw a pentacle, okay, pentagram over something. So you start in the lower corner, work your way up, down to the other corner, to the side, down, and circle. Okay? While you're doing that over your space or over an object, then that's when you would chant your protection spell. You can write your own spells, absolutely. It's all about the intention you put into it, and just carefully word it to make sure that you're saying what you really mean in it, um, and make sure you're invoking the right energy when you do it. And then you put that energy in, and that energy will imprint that symbol into your space and or onto that object. So there is an energetic imprint, and it protects it. Think of it sort of like glow in the dark ink. You can't see it, right? Unless you're putting energy toward it, and then it will glow back at you like, whoa, I can't do that, right? So when you draw those symbols, and the same thing with other sigils, you can draw them in the same way, but you're drawing them with intention. You have to put energy into it. Practice with some smaller objects and make sure that you can see. After you're done, go back and try to put your hand over the object and feel the energy. You should be able to feel literally where your energy is coming from off of your object. And it should be in the shape that you created. It should be in your pattern. Let's see. Books. Protection and Reversal Magic, a Witch's Defense Manual with Jason Miller. Emperor, I'm not sure. I've never heard of Jason Miller. I'm not sure if it's a good book. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I'm kind of a little bit old school. I tend to read a lot of the older things, mainly because I just once you're sort of set in your path, I don't read a lot of new things. So that's probably need to read more. But I really recommend Raven Gramasi. He's a scholar as well as a lifelong practitioner, Hereditary Path. I also recommend, let's see, well, any of the old school, Scott Cunningham, right? And I also think that there are some amazing mentors. I know you mentioned before about mentors. So I think that one of the ways to find a good mentor is to go to public ritual. Get involved with a group actually in person. It can be really hard to do things over the internet and you never know what you're going to get. But when you can read someone's energy, when you're face to face with them, that's the best way to do it. I'm not sure what area you're in. Hi, Kelly. You made it. We're talking all about protection. You know, depending on the area you're in, I'm in Maui, but originally from the Northeast, and New England has a very large pagan community. I'm probably one of the largest, actually, I think the largest in the United States. And so I'm not sure about other areas and how big your community is, but I really recommend going to an actual like pagan pride day or something where you can meet people and you can see energetically who you might link up with and find mentors that way. I really recommend that. Being in person is so important. San Jose. Oh my gosh, you have PantheaCon. Go to PantheaCon. San Jose, yeah. So I used to live in Palo Alto, well, Menlo Park, but right on the edge of Palo Alto. Yeah, PantheaCon all the way. The Temple of Witchcraft was just there, like a bunch, like, oh my gosh, PantheaCon. Go to PantheaCon. You will definitely find somebody. Okay, good. And there's so many good resources at PantheaCon too. I could not recommend that more. It's awesome. So we've covered basically protections, sort of our three forms, our raincoats, umbrellas, our condoms, and our bulletproof vests, right? And yeah, so I think we kind of was there any questions about those that you guys had that you wanted me to answer? I know there's a lag too, so I'm going to wait. When you hear me waiting, it's because I'm waiting for the comments to show up. So intuition, a lot of symbolism, spell work is intuitive. So sorry, Caleb writes, and don't discount intuition. A lot of this symbolism and spell work is intuitive, and that's how our ancestors just got. Absolutely, yes, absolutely. When I talk on these videos, you know, I get out as much as I can, but I'm never going to be able to get out all the things. Caleb, absolutely. Intuition is so important. In fact, there's a wonderful book, and I know I keep referencing Raven, but he's just so good. He wrote a book called Cauldron of Memory, and it's all about how ancestral knowledge, magical knowledge, right? All of our ancestral knowledge is encoded in our DNA. It's an amazing, amazing book, and how to tap into that well of knowledge to be able to learn spellcraft, learn rituals, to literally recall ancestral magical knowledge through our own DNA. It is amazing. It is so powerful. And there's lots of different tools in there for how to open that up in the well of memory. It is so, so, so good. I highly recommend it. Your intuition is so important. That's why I said, you know, using a symbol that's important to you, and then write your own spell for it. Pick the words that matter to you, what you want to be putting there, and check. I mean, the energy will be there. If you're putting it into it, it will be there. Absolutely. Thank you for adding that, Caleb. That was great. Was there other questions that people had? Make sure. Oh, and I don't know if you will see. I got a new shirt. Any Supernatural fans? Check it out. It's the Wayward Sisters or Wayward Daughters Academy. Isn't that cool? I'm a fan. What can I say? I don't see. There's probably just a lag. Not sure if there's other questions. Yeah, Lisa says, yeah, she got one too. So we try not to wear them on the same time. So for those of you who don't know, Lisa, who's on here, is my wife. So we try not to, we don't want to wear our shirts at the same time. Otherwise we'll look like twins. We get enough of that being called sisters or mother and daughter or whatever. So, but hopefully I explained it all the right way. So, and Lisa can attest to this, especially using a chant and using an energetic symbol. She'll often see me going around the house drawing sigils and chanting. You know, it's something I don't necessarily do really loud or anything like that. But in particular, I have particular things that go up around the house, and those things are important. And that's how we keep the protection. So yeah. Oh goodness, I've been on 33 minutes. So if there isn't any questions, I'll probably wait like one more minute just in case any questions come in, but then probably should get going. It's been like 30 minutes. It's quite a long time. So many people tuned in though. It's awesome. This is great. Oh, Adam, thank you. Books and Baking, hello. Just a little more, see if there's any. Not sure. Any other questions? Oh, Lisa, can you extend protection to other people? Yes, you can. Absolutely. So protection to other people is going to be, you know, something along the lines of the same sort of work where you're going to imprint them with the energy, with the protective energy. So you can draw it on them, right? Once you get advanced enough, you should be able to just project energy to them without having to physically draw a symbol. However, you can still physically draw the symbol. Anytime you come in contact with them, you can be covering them with sort of an aura. The way I like to think about it is, think about it like kind of suspending the person in like a gelatinous material, right? But that's that aura that's around them. You want to surround them with a protective shell of energy. So you're going to use energy in order to do that. So you'll be tapped when you do that. but your energy comes back, it'll replenish, and it will last for quite a long time. Basically, think about it like you're putting up, a layer, and as the world kind of hits them, it's going to chip away that layer. And so when you start to notice it waning, you can, re-up it. Sort of like in a video game, right? Where you have a shield, and then as you get hits, it goes down. Well, as you notice somebody that you've put a protection on, it going down, you re-up it and you put more energy into it. Absolutely. Oh, any Samhain plans? Lisa, what are we doing for Samhain? I know we're going to be going pumpkin picking. I know we're definitely doing that. I just don't know. I don't think we're doing that on Samhain. I think it's earlier than that, but we'll be going pumpkin picking. So we have to carve some pumpkins, and I always make a big meal. I think I've talked about that here. So we have a couple friends that we might invite over again this year. I have to make my stuffing muffins because that's like one of the favorites. So yeah, so we'll definitely be doing that. Just a small ritual, probably just us and maybe our friends. Will see if they want to join. Nothing like the big ones we used to have in New England, though. Definitely don't have as many people out here in Maui. Don't have all the family around, but we're definitely going to try and make it as special as we possibly can. Absolutely. Eating. This is eating. Yes, Samhain's all about eating for us, or for her especially. I cook so much food. Samhain is all about abundance. If you don't know this, or at least in my tradition, in my path, Samhain is our new year. And so the more food that you have on the table, the more food that you present, the greater the abundance will be in your life for the next year. So you want to have as much food as possible, because that's going to be how much abundance you have, and how much, good fortune you have for the coming year. So you want to make as much as you possibly can, right? Num. Lisa says num num num. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Books and baking. What do you do? What do I do if I may have messed up a relationship, spells and the like? Ooh, like you did a spell that messed up the relationship? I guess I'm confused. I guess it really depends on what you mean by messed up the relationship. Now, if you tried to cast like a love spell or something like that, yeah, it's probably not the best idea in the world. We don't have, we can't control free will in that way, right? So we can't, force somebody to love us or to love somebody else. We can encourage lust, and we can cast spells to bring love to us, right? The love that we're supposed to bring. So my guess is usually that's what happens when there is any kind of love spell involved. Is usually if the person that you're with is not the person you're meant to be with, that relationship usually ends pretty abruptly, because you're trying to attract the love that you're supposed to have to you. And so if that you're not supposed to have that, then that relationship will end so that you're open for the next one to come about. So I'm not sure if that's what you meant. So I need a little more clarification in order to answer it better. I was just guessing. Article isn't going to bite me in the butt. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is you can't cast a love spell on a particular person. It just doesn't work that way. You have to cast a spell to bring your intended love to you, okay? And the more generic you can make it, the better. Because if you specify things like gender, or if you specify age, or you specify location, or you specify, anything other than basically as soon as possible, you are going to run into problems, because you can't know what love is intended for you, right? What the universe has in store. And so all you can do is ask the universe basically to send your intended love to you, right? And which means sometimes some things might go really awry. I know some people who did these love spells, did a couple of spells to really have their intended love sent to them, and they got in a car accident, they got towed, and they got a ticket. Well, turns out, like, the intended love was a police officer, right, who was on duty, and that all those times they ended up meeting at some event some other time, but then they found out later that literally the officer on duty was that person the entire time. So the universe has a really weird way of getting you what you want. So be ready for that. That if you were trying to bring love to you, the universe is going to do that. And it might not always work out totally in your best effort. The best thing I can say is, because that is dangerous. I mean, I wouldn't, not dangerous in that, you're necessarily going to be hurt, but it might not be the best thing for your wallet or even your car. But what I would suggest is instead open yourself up to love. So you can cast and you can do a lot of rituals, especially meditations, around opening yourself up to being ready for love, right? To being having your eyes open to the other possibilities of where love might occur and where it might find you. The other thing is getting yourself out there. Here's the thing. If you're at home and you never go out and you never do anything, you're probably not going to find anybody. It's going to be really hard, and it's going to make it even harder for the universe to help you out in that. So sometimes you do have to put yourself out there and put yourself in situations that maybe might feel really uncomfortable at the time, but they could help. That could be the moment in which you meet that person that you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with, right? And you will know them. Used to be like that. Used to be like that. Yeah. All I can say is try and challenge yourself. You don't need to go from 0 to 60 immediately. Just challenge yourself to try one new thing a week. Just one a week. And maybe for some people that might just be, I am going to, instead of ordering my groceries on Amazon, I'm going to go to the grocery store, right? And actually go out. Other people could mean, going to a karaoke bar, something like that, right? So just try and do one thing a week in which you put yourself out there, right? Caleb says, oh my gosh, Caleb, yes, it's beautiful. The quote from Practical Magic, fall in love whenever you can. Absolutely. I think that's beautiful. That's a beautiful way. Yes. And that's a great way to kind of end it too, I think. Fall in love whenever you can. So put yourself out there. Put the joy out there. When you meet somebody new, we have a tendency to want to judge. That's in human nature, right? We make judgments all the time, right? Because we have to evaluate our environment for danger, right? That's our evolution inside, right? Is to evaluate everything around us in terms of danger, which is why we're judgmental by nature, right? Because to evaluate is to judge in some ways. And so we want to suppress that, right? We're kind of in the modern age now. We don't need to do that. So instead, challenge yourself when you meet somebody new. Think of one positive thing about them, something you like about them before you think about anything negative, right? Before you think, about, oh, well, what did they mean by that they said, or I didn't like that. No, think of one positive thing that you could say about this person. You have to say it out loud, just in your head. And just try it. Just try it for a few weeks and see how it goes. His lips. Well, there you go, right? His lips. That was a positive thing. Absolutely. Oh my. All right. Now we're getting off topic. Thank you, Books and Baking. I appreciate it. All right. We really need to wrap this up though, because it's been 43 minutes. I need to get going. I got a lot to do. I'm sorry. But it seems like people like this live. So next week we'll see if I can. I might be able to hop on. But give it a thumbs up if you like the live and you want me to go live next Friday between the 2 and 3 mark again. And yeah, awesome. And this will always be, it takes a little while for it to get like loaded or whatever, but it's always viewable after the fact. So, all right, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Oh my gosh, if you are on the East Coast, the Carolinas, anywhere in the path of the hurricane, please, please, please be safe. So much good energy to you. I have family in North Carolina. So thinking of you, please be safe. Yeah, so care about you. Okay, so I will see you all later. As always, blessed be and aloha.